to my channel. My name is Tracy and we need to chat. We're home from work. It was a very highly productive day today, but we need to chat. I have been trying to film a work week in my life for about 4 months now. I've been trying to film a work day in my life for several weeks. I have been trying to just talk to you about work because my work day and the life videos get the most response, which is so weird to me. They get the most response. And I'm just gonna let you know right now, this video title is Catfish because I did take it to work with me today, but what is this footage you just saw? So my very first dedicated work day in my life video was when I lived in Nashville and I worked for Vanderbilt University. I remember that day specifically. I was very stressed out and going to work, and I wanted the day to be good, so I thought I'm gonna film today. So I just titled it Workday in My Life, Administrative Assistant, and it was very well received. And then it helped me tremendously during the day as well. And so then I just kind of kept doing it, and I had some rough days, but I kind of really enjoy my days much more because the filming allows me to be creative in my work day, and I really like that. So when I started these vlogs, my title was actually Administrative Specialist. So on most admin track ladders, you have your administrative assistant, which is like the very first rung on the ladder. Then you kind of go to administrative specialist, senior administrative specialist, administrative coordinator, senior administrative coordinator, administrative manager, senior administrative manager, administrative director, senior administrative director. And then you kind of branch off from that track and go into a more corporate or a more C-suite type of track. Now you can have all these titles in the C-suite, but typically that's how let me just say that's how my last company worked and how this company works. So I'm figuring that's just how most admin track work at most companies. So back in the day when I worked at Baptist Hospital here in Memphis, before I even moved to Nashville, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I was drinking my tea, got my tea. Before I even moved to Nashville, my very first job at Baptist Hospital here in Memphis was administrative assistant. And so when I moved to Nashville, my title was administrative specialist. And I spent it, for me, being an admin was always the goal, oddly enough. I know this seems to be a weird goal for most people, but it always was the goal. But I kind of just didn't know how to move on the ladder, or that I could move on the ladder, or at the time I really wasn't interested in moving on the ladder because I've never been a career driven person. So when I got to Nashville, I spent the whole time in Nashville as an administrative specialist. And so I learned so much in my last position from my supervisor. Her name is Jane. I will just never not be grateful for the opportunity to spend the time I spent with Jane. She is just one of those people that helps you believe in yourself. And I don't even think that's what she was trying to do, but she really did. And so I was administrative specialist. And when I knew that I was moving to Memphis and I started applying for the company that I work for now, I made a decision that I would not apply for anything less than senior administrative specialist. I still didn't have quite enough courage to really go for something higher. Jane and I talked about it, and she was like, you can absolutely do this. You can absolutely do this. You have these skill sets, blah, blah, blah. Apply for these things. And so when I moved to Memphis, I was in such a bad place in Nashville that when I got here, I just knew I wanted to rest. I just needed to be with my family. I ended up living with my family for 3 months, which gave me just so much peace and rest. And then when I got the senior administrative specialist position here in Memphis, I just also knew that I just was very grateful to have it, even though it was just like that one notch up on the ladder. And in most corporate spaces, the money is the same. from senior administrative, from administrative specialist to senior administrative specialist. Most of the time, the money is the same. Even though they're separate rungs on the ladder, they're pretty much in the same bracket. So the money is pretty much the same. The responsibilities are also pretty much the same. And so that was just one little boost up for me. I was like, okay. So I got to a place in my company where I felt a lot better. Even though in my current company here in Memphis, in my department, the admins were not getting along at all. We were still a new department. And so it was a lot of change happening. So everybody was new and we were just trying to get to know each other and we just were not getting along. And my manager, my administrative director, finally decided to bring the chair of the department in. And so she had a meeting with all of the admins and he was there and he came and he set some expectations for us and he let us know what was going on in the department because the department was new. I think I may have said that, but the department was new. And so he was also a new chair. He had never been a chair before. He came from another state, you know, they brought him from another state and he brought his coordinator with him from the states where he worked before. So he set expectations with us. And so in that meeting towards the end, he was like, does anybody have any questions? And I was kind of looking at my other coworkers. I'm the oldest, by the way. I was looking at my coworkers and I was like, y'all ain't gonna say nothing. I was like, I have something to say. I have questions. And so I asked questions. I had something to say. I was like, okay, so this makes more sense now. I didn't know this was happening. We didn't know this was going on. It's like there's just such a lack of communication. And we as admins kind of need to know what's going on because you kind of throwing stuff out there, being secretive, and we just kind of just didn't know what was going on. And he explained why he hadn't told us all the things he had told us before, and he took ownership of that. And so at the end of the meeting, I thought, I really like him. You know, I really know that he's a new chair. I know this is a big role for him. He is more than qualified. It was just new, right? So whenever we do something new, we have to get used to it. And so I was like, okay, I really like him. Now, because he's the chair of the department and I didn't work with him directly, I just didn't know him at all. I just didn't. And because he's a very busy man. So having that meeting sparked something inside of me. And so I told my manager, my director, my administrative director, on my very next one-on-one meeting, I was like, hey, I've thought about it a lot. I'm very grateful for the meeting that we just had with the chair. And I've just decided that I'm going to stay in Memphis. I'm going to stay at St. Jude and I'm going to stay in this department. But I really want to grow in this department. I know we're a growing team. So without me having a degree, with me being an administrative assistant, I want to remain on the administrative track. So if there's ever an opportunity for me to advance, I would like to be considered. He was like, okay, thank you for telling me all that. That's great information. We enjoy having you here. I'm glad to hear it. And I can help you advance if that's your choice. Yes, that's my choice. He said, we don't have anything available right now. And I don't know when we will have anything available, but we are a growing team. So who knows what will come up in the future, but I will definitely keep you in mind. I was like, great, perfect. Couldn't ask for more than that. So fast forward a few months. So the chair has a senior administrative coordinator. Why am I saying it weird? Senior administrative coordinator. And so that's a leadership position. It's almost like a supervisor position. It's like a kind of a liaison between the administrative director and the rest of the admins. Because our team is not big enough to have an administrative manager yet, which would be over a coordinator. Okay, so that's the latter. So the administrative coordinator that the chair brought with him left because she wanted to go back home. She just didn't like Memphis. She was just homesick, so she wanted to go back home. And so the day that she had told us that she was leaving, and then my other coworker was like, the position has already been posted, and so they're already looking for somebody. And I was like, let me go over here and look at this position. When I looked at the position, I was like, check, I can do that, check, I can do that, check, I can do that, check. And I was like, let me go ahead and just apply for this position. And so I did. And when I had my next one-on-one for my administrative manager, I was like, hey, I just want to let you know I applied for that position. She said, I saw that. And I had HR pull your application. I was like, okay, thank you. And before I left the meeting with her, we kind of talked about a little bit of what the position was and what it would mean. And I said, I don't want anybody to know that I applied for this position. I don't want to tell anyone. I don't want to tell anyone in the department. I'm not going to tell my work friend. I'm not going to tell anybody. My thought process was, number one, if I didn't get it, I wouldn't have to be embarrassed in front of nobody. And number two, I wanted her to know from the jump, if I was considered for this position, that I could keep things confidential. Even though I have this really great work friend, I can still keep things confidential. So I didn't tell my work friend. I told my cousins. And I told my really, really good friend. I have a friend named Rachel. Rachel's just one of my best friends. She's giving sister energy. She works at the company too, and so I told her, and so she was like so excited for me. She was looking up the job. She was like, "You can do this blindfolded." She was hyping your girl up and everything, and I was like, I would have to work directly with the chair. I don't really know him. I only know this one thing about him. It's when we had this meeting, and so I just thought, okay, I just did it anyway. And so I had an interview with HR. Then I had an interview with my my administrative director. I had an interview with the chair because he has a lab that he works with. I interviewed with the lab manager. Then I interviewed with the operations manager. And then I interviewed with the scientific writer. So I interviewed with 6 people. Let me tell y'all something. They act like they ain't know me. The chair didn't know me. Certain people didn't know me. I'm going to say like half the people knew me and half the people didn't know me. But everybody act like they didn't know me. And so this was they did not give me nothing, okay? When I was so worried that I wasn't going to get this job because they were interviewing other people too from outside the company. And I was like, oh, Lord, like they serious. They ain't not finna keep me. No, honey, when I tell you they were looking for the best person for the job, that's what they were doing. Fast forward, I did get the job. And so now I work directly with the chair. I started this job like the first Monday in October, I believe, I want to say. It was the first Monday in October. I think it was October 7th, the day I started this job. And I just had no idea what to expect because once again, I really didn't know the chair. Yo! I'll be working my ass off. You guys, I promise you. I use my entire resume every day. Oh my God. Y'all. I'm good at what I do. So I do a good job. But y'all, I be working my ass off. So I have not been able to film anything about work. Once again, because I work in like this executive positioning, because he's considered an executive member at our company. And so he has meetings and things like that in the C-suite, and y'all just don't know. Okay. And also, he and I get along extremely well. I was very worried about that. He is Puerto Rican. And so his previous admin was also Puerto Rican. They had that in common, so they both spoke Spanish. They were same culture. They were from the same city, from the same previous place. So they had all these similarities, and I'm sure that was very comforting for him for his first year to work there, to have this person that knew him so well. But here I am coming in. I'm from Memphis, Maine. Okay? Because sometimes he be talking to me, and I'll be like, his accent get to me, and I'll be like, I don't know what you're saying. And then he'll break it down for me. I'll be like, ow! And then sometimes I go in his office, I'm pissed off about something, and I get real Memphis on him. And he'll say, okay. one more time. And then we both just bust out laughing. I can't help it. And so like I've only been working with him for 4 months now. And this man is a very unique person. And so this is the real reason why I can't film, okay? Number one, he's a scientist, okay? He has a very large brain. He is extraordinary in his field. He's also famous in his field and in his hometown. Okay? He is very much, he's a unique person. Here's what I mean. When you have someone that is as smart as he is, I cannot overstate how smart he truly is. They don't have no common sense. Y'all done been around people before that's really smart and can't tie their shoes. Y'all have been around them people, right? So he's that level of smart. Like he's literally brilliant, right? And he has common sense. And he has social justice sense. He understands the difference between black and brown. That's very unique for most brown people in and of themselves, okay? And he has fashion sense. I have never worked with someone this difficult before. And by difficult, I mean he sees everything. He sees everything. Nothing escapes him. I've worked for really smart people before, and you can just get away with all kind of stuff because they don't really know what's going on. Case in point, one day I left work early. And I was like, hey, I gotta go leave work early. He was like, okay, no problem. Have a good evening. See you tomorrow. Okay, great. And so later on in the week, I needed to leave work early again. I didn't tell him this time. I'm just gonna leave early this time. I ain't gonna say no. So he called me packing my little bags up, and I was like, he's such a cool dude. I was just, I'm just packing my little bags up, and he said, where you going? I said, I'm gonna slide out. I'm gonna slide out a little early today. He said, he's been sliding out a little early a lot lately. I was like, oh, okay. I was like to say to myself, okay, girl, you got to slide out today because you got to make this hair appointment, but you can't keep sliding out on him because he noticed. And one day, one of my coworkers was dressed in some jeans and a polo shirt and some tennis shoes. And so my boss walked from his office to the front door. The coworker was standing at my desk. And so the coworker was like, buenos dias, Jefe. And Jefe said, you dress off of casual for a Monday. So today is Monday. That same coworker had to be in a meeting with Jefe today. He had on a suit coat today. This man is the most unique person I've ever met. I told him one day, I said, I've counted 4 Jefes so far. Are there any more in there? He just started laughing. I think we really get along well because, number one, I love being an administrative assistant. I love being an administrative assistant. And I have chosen to kind of perfect my craft over the last few years when I kind of really started taking my career seriously. So the first challenge I had with him was his calendar. I have never seen anything like that before. It looked like a patchwork quilt. It was visual noise to look at. It gave me a headache to look at. It was so stressful to look at his calendar. And so I was like, let's talk. It was, I had worked with him. I had started the job on a Monday, but he didn't come into the office. He had to travel So he did not come into the office until Thursday. So I worked for him for 2 days, right, with him physically in the office. And those 2 days with his calendar and him going to meetings was crazy. And I just thought, I don't care how busy he is, this has to be streamlined. So over the weekend, that calendar was so bad, I really couldn't think of anything else over the weekend but how I could fix this calendar. So let me back up. The first thing I did with him is decided what our meeting cadence needed to be. For him to get used to me and for me to get used to him, I said to him, I would like to be your first meeting on the first day that you're in the office of the week. So like the first week I worked for him, he didn't come in the office until Thursday. I made myself the first meeting that he had on Thursday. So say for instance, he's in the office today and tomorrow, but say for instance, he wasn't in the office, he didn't come in until Wednesday. I would be his first meeting on Wednesday. I would be the first person that he talks to on the first day that he's in the office every single week until we built where I was kind of like, I could make decisions without him telling me. I want to continue to do that until I don't think we need to do it anymore. We can maybe meet every other week or every 3 weeks. But right now, for us to get to know each other, for him to see how I work and for me to see how he works, I need to meet with him every single week. So that's the first thing I requested of him. He was totally fine with it. No problem. Yes, good. So when we got back in the office on that following Monday, after I had worked for the first week, I was like, this calendar ain't gonna work. He was like, I know, it's so stressful. And he started telling me the things he hated about his calendar. And I was like, okay, turn this TV off. So I said, okay, let's do these things. I said, number one, these meetings you having every week with these people, that's not necessary. That can't be necessary. Why is that a thing? And he was like, well, that's how I've always done it. That's how I did it. He got defensive. And I was like, oh, we're going to have to fight. And he was like, that's how I've always done it. This is how I run my lab. This is how I did. And I said, I let him talk. And when he finished, I said, and you have never been the chair of a department before. You don't have this kind of time. He was like, I know. He immediately drops his guard. He's like, I know it's been really stressful. He was like, I hate it. I was like, I know. We're going to fix this thing. So that week, we fixed his calendar. And I fixed it in a way that no one can just put meetings on his calendar. So you can kind of see what people's calendar look like without seeing exactly what's on it. You know how you can look at somebody's calendar and you can see if they're free or tentative or busy. I made his day where no one could put a meeting on his calendar without going through me. And the next thing I asked him to do, I was like, will you please put on your signature line of your email that people need to contact me for all scheduling? He said, okay. And so we made these changes to his schedule. By the end of that week and then into the next week, everything had calmed down tremendously. And so by me taking ownership of that and protecting him, he immediately decided I was his person. And so about 4 weeks into us working together. So every time I go into a meeting with him, every first day that he's in there for the week, I always say the same thing. Do you have anything for me? Meaning receipts or something that you need to give me, something I need to do. Or he'll say yes or no. And then I was like, do you have anything you need to tell me? Basically, I want to jog his memory for something that he needed to tell me, but he forgot or didn't put it in the email. And so he'll say yes or no. We'll go from there. And then we go into the meeting that way. And so about, like I said, the 4th week I worked for him, I was like, do you have anything for me? Do you have anything to tell me? And then my third question for him was that week is, are we doing okay? And so he was like, you're very opinionated. And I was like, oh, I hope this is going somewhere good. And so I just kind of stared at him, and he was like, and I like that. I was like, okay, because I was just say, I don't know how not to be. This is who I am as a person, and I'm confident in my job, so I'm even more opinionated at work. And so he was like, I like that. He said, I told my wife, you have changed everything. And I was like, I did. And that particular meeting was awesome because she actually came in and I got to meet her. And so that was really, really cool. And so we have been vibing ever since then. Now, the biggest mistake I made was him giving me certain assignments and I finished them the same day. I should have been dragging them things out, because when I finished them, he was like, oh, that was quick. Let me give you something else to do. And I was like, no. I was like, listen, some things are really easy for me. They're low-hanging fruit. So I grabbed that little piece of fruit. I go and gobble it up, and so I can move on to the next thing. But I have plenty of work to do, sir. He was like, no, I'm going to have to give you something else. And so he has been giving me assignments, which is my job. But then I have a new doctor now, right? So I assist the chair. That's my primary responsibility. The administrative director is also in the same suite. And so she's not actually giving me things to do in the sense of here's an assignment, here's an assignment, here's an assignment. What she's doing is training me to do my own job better, and also position me where if I choose to advance in the future, then I can. And so she's teaching me everything I need to know about the institution because she's been there over 20 years. She has seen everything for the last 20 years. Our hospital has 77 beds, which shocked the hell out of me when I first started working there. But she said when she started, they only had 15. I was like, what? And so she's really been teaching me things, because she'll go, hey Tracy, there's a system that I want to put your name in for so that you'll have access to it. So in the future, you'll know how to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, okay. Baby, these 90 days? Whew, I have been working. And so this morning I had a wild hair up my behind, and I thought, I'm going to vlog today. I'm going to vlog a work day in my life. And pretty much the moment I turned on the camera, he comes through the door. And I was like, I was trying to get to the camera so fast to turn it off. But it was so obvious that I was being sneaky about something, and I don't ever want to sow any discord between him and I. So I just left the camera on. He kind of looked at it and he hugged me hello, because I hadn't seen him in 2 weeks, and he is a Spanish man. So he hugs men and women very freely if they allow him to. Nothing weird. Don't get crazy. Anyway, I hadn't seen him in a while, so I said hello, and then he kind of started talking. He looked at the camera, and then he kind of went in his office and he kept talking, but I noticed that he lowered his voice, and so I didn't want him to feel uncomfortable. So I said, I have a hobby. And he said, is it cleaning? I was like, such a jerk. And I was like, no, I make YouTube videos, and a lot of times I talk about what it's like to be an administrative assistant, and it's really fun for me because sometimes I get comments about people who have become administrative assistants as well. He was like, really? I said, yeah. He was like, that's so cool. I was like, but I'm going to make sure, I'm going to cut the sound, and so they can't hear us talking. He was like, okay. And so he was like, cool, and just went about the day. So then I thought, okay, cool. He knows I can continue just to film throughout the day. Oh my God, the way today went. And that's every single day. It wasn't like today was different from every single day. I was talking to my friend at work, and she was looking at me, and we were kind of just sitting there at the lunch table one day, just looking. We weren't even talking at that moment. We were just kind of looking at each other, and she goes, this is just our life, isn't it? I said, I think this is what we do now. I just feel like, because all last year we kept saying, okay, so once the holidays get here, we're going to slow down a little bit. And so as soon as these holidays are, we're going to slow down. We're going to be a little bit slow. And then for the new year, we could just kind of ease into the new year. We can be able to breathe. Put us on oxygen, baby. Because we be working. Let me tell you what gets me through the day. I go downstairs to the cafeteria, which is a patient area. I work in a research tower. I work for researchers. I don't work for MDs. I work for PhDs. And so I go downstairs and I see parents and I see children in little red wagons being pulled. They have tubes coming out of them. They have bald heads. They have sunken in eyes with dark circles. They're lethargic. And the parents are worn thin. And I'll give me something to drink or a little bite to eat. And I go upstairs. And I say, I'm going to help some scientists save some children today. I have such a great sense of purpose now. Working there is just like the most fulfilling job I've ever had. I used to want to be a chef when I was younger, so I used to work in a school cafeteria. And that was like one of my favorite jobs ever. But this is the this is the best job. And the fact that I get to work with the chair so closely and watch him build a dynamic team, he requires the best. He requires pure excellence from everyone that works for him. And so I literally had to raise myself. I had to raise myself up to meet some of his standards. I'll just be honest with you, because I never had to do it before. I had to raise even the way I dress matters, even though I've always had really good time, fun getting dressed, but the way I dress matters. I used to dress casual on Fridays. I don't do that no more. Because I don't never know what the day gonna bring. Okay? And so I just have such an incredible sense of purpose that I want to do my absolute best. I want to perform at an excellent level. This is not, there is no space for mediocrity for me. And I have just decided to make my career my focus right now. Like I said before, I've never been a career-driven person. But right now, my girlfriends call and want to go out. No, because I'm resting. I'm tired from the week. And I want to rest for the new week because I've been putting my energy in what I do. I help scientists save children. And it's just the best thing I've done. It's the best thing I've done. And I want to just continue to do it. And I want to do it at a very high level. That means I don't know how many work days in my life I'm going to be able to film. And I wanted y'all to understand why I'm not filming work days in my life. It's just because, y'all, I tried to film today. I just, busy. It was so busy. It was just so busy. And that's how it genuinely is every day. It's generally just a busy day. And I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I be T-I-E-D, tired. I ain't gonna lie to you. I be tired. I don't really cook no more. I just eat out the cafeteria. Today we have some leftovers from the lunch that was catered. They got me good for dinners for the week. It should be, I don't know what to tell y'all. I love it. I love it. I am in my career era. I'm so tired. I'm getting a little tongue tied. I need to end this video. I think I might be rambling now. Anyway, sometimes you guys always asking me about being an admin and me having a degree. No, I don't have a degree. This was a promotion. The money was promoted too. I'm just gonna stay where I am. Just gonna keep it real. Sometimes I get paid, I be like, oh, okay. my week wasn't so bad. Let's go get these nails done. Everything is going really well. Everything is going really well. You may not get the content you want from me, but just know everything is going really well. And I am going to film when I can. I just don't know when that's going to be. I just don't know. But whenever I can slide in an administrative assistant day in my life, I will do it. In the meantime, I hope everything is going well for you. I hope you are taking care of yourself. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, beautiful.